And so it begins. What are they hiding? Why did Biden just punt on, as he titles it, memorandum for heads of executive departments at agencies on a temporary certification regarding disclosures of information in certain records related to the assassination of President JFK? What are they hiding? What are they so afraid about you and I finding out? Well, the answer's fairly simple. Even I'm going to ask your opinion. I can't wait to see the comments. Before we get into this story, I want to make sure if you haven't subscribed to Lisa, click on the button below. Make sure your bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Also, Lisa asked me to give a shout out to her sponsor, NobleGoldInvestments.com. That's right. Convert your traditional IRA into a gold or silver-backed IRA. Get yourself some gold or silver coin. And now, special offer. For every approved account, you're going to get this 5-ounce silver coin. How often nowadays do you get anything for free when the government just simply wants to take everything you have? But Noble Gold Investment has an amazing opportunity, an amazing company, a long-term sponsor of Lisa's. We invite you to get over to NobleGoldInvestments.com. Also, and as a favor to myself, Lisa will put a link somewhere about right here. And if you could click on it and subscribe to my channel, I certainly would appreciate it. And your way of supporting us is to get over to Restricted Republic. But now let's get back to the story about other things that are being covered up. So you remember the memorandum. I'm not going to read it again because I definitely won't be able to do it as good as I did the first time. But in this memorandum, it states, in the President John F. Kennedy's Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992, the Congress declared that all government records concerning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy should be eventually disclosed to enable the public to become fully informed about the history surrounding the assassination. That's laughable in itself, that they're actually going to fully inform the public on anything. Well, that's where the smokescreen actually begins. It is therefore critical to ensure that the United States government maximizes transparency, disclosing all information and records concerning the assassination, except when the strongest possible reason counsel otherwise. Well, Biden decides, I'm going to go ahead and punt this one. We're going to kick it down the road a little bit. Actually, you're going to find out it's going to be about December of 2022 for now. But Biden wasn't the only one who punted. Now, if you remember, Trump punted also. He released some of the JFK files and blocks others under the pressure of Mike Pompeo and multiple other parties in the FBI and the CIA. And so it should be no surprise that Biden, of course, did the same. He punted. And what excuse did he use? We're going to get there rather quickly. The act permits the continued postponement of, this is back to the White House memorandum now, the continued postponement of disclosure of information and records concerning President Kennedy's assassination only when postponement remains necessary to protect against, are you ready? Identifiable harm to the military defense, intelligence operations, law enforcement, or the conduct of foreign relations that is of such gravity that it outweighs the public interest in disclosure. Well, why would we expect anything the same? They still have not released all the videotapes of the January 6th event, so why would this be any different? Oh, the reputation of the FBI and CIA can never be tarnished in this government. Why would we expect otherwise? The continued postponement of full public disclosure. This year, the National Archives and Record Administration, NARA, has been reviewing whether it agrees that each redaction continues to meet the statutory standard. The archivist of the United States, however, has reported that, unfortunately, oh, you guessed it, the pandemic has had a significant impact on the agencies. And NARA requires additional time to engage with the agencies to conduct research, blah, 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 to make sure that our reputations are covered and we don't allow any of our secrets to come out or the American public to realize exactly what happened. Accordingly, by the authority I vested in myself as president by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, I hereby certify that all information within records that agencies have proposed for continued postponement under section blah, blah, blah shall be withheld from full public disclosure until December 15th of 2022. Wow, the biggest conspiracy in the United States must really hold a bunch of information they don't want you or I to see. Since the 1990s, more than 2,500 records concerning President Kennedy's assassination, more than 90% of the collection, have been released in the full public. The problem is you have to go to College Park, Maryland to see it. Well, at least now, the only good thing that came out of this is Biden said you need to make those records electronic so nobody has to go to College Park, Maryland to see that. And you have to do that by December 15th of 2021. I know, some good somewhere in some sliver of reality that you'll actually get all the documents. It's laughable to begin with, but we're not blind to the fact. But what are they hiding? What's the concern? I know many of you are very well versed in this story, and you should be, because it set the precedence of all conspiracy theories to come. It actually set the groundwork, the foundation of how to take America and twist their reality into the point that they'll just be subservient and won't ask you any questions anymore. So actually, this article in The Intercept did an amazing job. Biden faces deadline for release of more JFK assassination papers. This was just prior to him actually exceeding the deadline. It was supposed to be the 26th, if I'm correct, but on the 22nd, he comes out and says, we ain't gonna do anything about it. The most sensitive JFK secrets involve U.S. operations against Cuba in 1963. This is allegedly what these redactions are referring to, and we can't allow for the intelligence communities to be exposed as to how they did things in 1963. At least that's what they want you to believe. One passage in a file, and I will go through just the big elements of this, was Operation Northwoods, a top-secret Pentagon operation that aimed to provoke a U.S. invasion of Cuba, is still off limits to the public. Approved by the Joint Chief of Staff in May 1963, the Northwoods plan envisioned an engineered provocation. An engineered provocation. No coinky-dink here, is there? But we'll move forward. To replace Cuba's socialist government with the pro-America regime. I'll just reverse those terms, pro-America regime with the socialist government. But I digress. Northwoods called for the most trusted covert personnel to stage a spectacular crime on a U.S. target. Moving forward. Here's one such document involving Northwoods, U.S. military intervention in Cuba. These have been declassified. Well, kind of declassified. Because the most two important paragraphs, well, those are still redacted, so you and I can't see. Other files have not been released, including the following. The surveillance techniques that detected Oswald's visit to the Cuban and Soviet embassies in Mexico City 6 weeks before Kennedy was killed are redacted in the 1963 memo and this internal CIA history. Within hours of Kennedy's assassination, CIA propaganda assets funded under a secret program called AMSPEL generated press reports linking Oswald to the FPCC with the implication that Castro was behind the president's murder. One 86-page AMSPEL file from 1964 contained 15 pages of redacted material. So, a president was made to look like he had blame in the destruction of something else. Parallels. Very strange when you really do a lot of research and you dig in deeper. It's why you thought this was just going to be a normal recovering of facts. No, it's historically relevant in a lot of ways, just depending on how you dig into it. CIA Historical Review Program released as sanitized in 1998. This goes into that AMSPEL program. But there's more parts of this that is hidden up. CIA is still cagey about Oswald mystery. The files in question, this was on the New York Times, some released under direction of the court and hundreds more that are still secret, involved the curious career of George Unitas, the case officer who oversaw the dissident Cubans in 1963. In 1978, the agency made him the liaison to the House Select Committee on Assassination, but never told the committee of his earlier role, just like many whistleblowers we see now. Another heavily censored file documents the Amlash conspiracy, a CIA plot to kill Castro that failed. Though not for lack of trying, the file runs 232 pages with scores of redaction. Amlash, in part. Many of these documents, again, partially unredacted. Some CIA files, this is another point that hasn't been released yet, relate to propaganda operations inside the United States, nominally forbidden by the agency's charter. A history of the Miami station is heavily redacted. This becomes one of the most relevant portions of this story, often overlooked in my opinion. So is the 1975 testimony of an undercover officer who described CIA activities in South Florida and New Orleans, including the use of prominent newspaper officials in the Miami area to cast a different story so that the American public would fall subject to the prey of the intelligence agencies through the misuse of mainstream media. What is old is new again, or what is new was old once again. I told you the parallels in this make the story a lot different than most people would have assumed. But thank you for tuning in and paying attention, because you got to get into the depth of this to understand the parallels that exist. Support activities in the Miami area prior to 1968, well, it's pretty much redacted, because they don't want you to know how they used the media to manipulate the story. The the most heavily redacted portions of it. It is not a fact that the agency had some relationship with some prominent newspaper officials in the Miami area. Yes. And what was the nature of that relationship? Oh, look at that. It's completely redacted. You and I simply can't see it. They don't want you to know how they use the media. All they want you to know is that the archivist is hereby authorized and directed to publish this memorandum. This was the Joseph R. Biden memorandum that says, we're just going to keep it quiet for a bit longer. Because really, it doesn't have as much to do about him as it has to do about you. And it has to do about how the CIA and intelligence agencies go ahead and found a way to manipulate reality to assure the American public was blinded to the facts surrounding the assassination of JFK. It is the way that they did it, the functions that they had, the story behind the scenes. That is what's being held from you in our humble opinion. And hence why president after president has pushed it down and punted and found some other lame brain excuse to not allow the American public to know exactly how big, how overpowered, and how overblown this government has become, and in their ability to manipulate facts and deceive each and every one of us. Well, not all of us, because you who tune in here will never be manipulated by the distortion of reality of this U.S. government. We love you all. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. As a way, again, of supporting us, please get to restrictedrepublic.com. Please subscribe to Lisa. Please subscribe to me. But most importantly, Godspeed and God bless. Until next time, filling in for Lisa Haven, just this night, signing out.